Due to my somewhat unique position, over the years I've come across more Hunter x Hunter opinions than I've been able to handle at times, so naturally I've pretty much seen it all. I've seen the agreeable, I've seen the baffling, and I've seen everything in between. And a general criticism I've often seen leveled at the series that manifests in all sorts of ways is a discrepancy between what Hunter x Hunter is and what others think or expect it should be. Togashi uses anticlimaxes, shifting perspectives, and at times eccentric focus to have the story flow in a way that is completely natural for the world and characters, but unnatural and at odds with traditional storytelling, where there is often an expectation for a big climax, a huge fight, a predictable flow. He writes this story in the most organic way I've ever seen, with an intimate understanding of how the characters will act and progress in this world and what following them means. But ironically, due to that raw and real understanding, this leads to divergences from classic storytelling expectations. And naturally, people sometimes don't like that, whether it be because they wish for the story to be something that it isn't, or whether they just think it's bad or unfulfilling. To that end, I've seen the conclusion to the 2011 anime criticized and looked at as a negative for the adaptation. I've seen some say that they can't rightfully call the show a masterpiece or give it a 10 out of 10 because of the loose ends not being tied up, or things like that. Yet, to me, this is an absolutely wild sentiment because it is totally in keeping with the organic style of the story while integrating with the main theme that we've had this entire time that is spelt out for us at the end. Truthfully, this is not only a great conclusion to the adaptation despite it stopping with more manga material ahead and so much more potential greatness, but it is actually one of the best endings to any story I've ever experienced. It is one of the most powerful, metaphorical, and ingenious integrations and implementations of a story's primary theme that I've ever seen. It's not the legitimate, definitive ending to the story, as we know that the manga continues past this, but it itself works as a conclusion so well that I struggle to envision a more appropriate end to the adaptation. And this is due to the late addition of Jing and the front-loading of the detours concept.
Jingが欲しいものって何?
今目の前にないものだな。
As someone who would go on far-off adventures and explore catacombs and try to uncover mysteries and relics and artifacts, Jing was knee-deep in desirable results and endpoints to define his expeditions in life. And yet what he came to realize is that he never really cared much for the reason he was there in the first place once he succeeded. He realized that the friends, stories, and experiences he gathered along the way to that goal were far more important to him than any endpoint, and so he based his life's philosophy around hunting that which he cannot see right in front of him, because the long journey towards that would end up being infinitely rewarding. Glory lies beyond the horizon. Now, Jing's lesson that he teaches here is brilliantly presented, but it isn't really something new. This is something we have been learning every step of the way, subconsciously, gradually, building in the back of our minds with or without us realizing it. And his words just bring it all together.
この連中と比べたら、王母の真実はただのおまけさ。大切なものは欲しいものより先に来た。
And so we can take this detours concept and apply it directly to the entirety of the structure of Hunter x Hunter. Gon's end goal and the focus of the lightly overlying plot has always been to find Jing, from chapter and episode 1. And yet the people he met, the things he saw, the wonders he took in, and the experiences he had ended up being the reason to have set out in the first place. Wide-eyed and curious, whether it be about black market dealings or Nen or new types of wildlife, Gon is the perfect vehicle for taking us on this journey. The variability between arcs is so drastic while containing genuine flow that it not only keeps things fresh, but offers us a creative stream of consciousness of Togashi's ideas and world. Each one is so different, and that makes total sense since each one is one of these detours. It does this while not ever losing momentum, focus, or heart, but always letting us stop and smell the roses to enjoy these wondrous little stories and characters and thematic beats that have absolutely nothing to do with Jing. Not everything has to coalesce perfectly, wrapped up in a nice little bow. Sometimes existence is just a series of experiences that add up to parts of a whole. This is not only completely true to life, but it is the philosophy of the story, and it all comes together in the final episode, as father and son overlook the setting sun from the top of the world tree. And yet, that gargantuan world tree is stated by Jing to just be a sapling that stopped growing. There are far bigger trees out there and far greater lands to explore. The world is so much bigger than what Gon has come to know, and this offers so much promise for his future. And yet, some look at that potential along with some of the unresolved plot threads and say this is disappointing or unfulfilling. And while I can relate to wanting to see more and more of this world and story, I couldn't disagree more. I find nothing but fulfillment here. Kurapika's plotline, Chrollo's path, Hisoka's role, whatever else you can think of. One could say that the clear nature of the fact that some of these threads are unresolved means that it doesn't work. But only in traditional storytelling terms, only in a vacuum. In context, it works and is actually incredibly cohesive and in tune with the story's structure and style. The fact is, Togashi has such a keen instinct and idea of who these characters are in tandem with their place in the setting. He consistently has them progress through in ways that subvert traditional fictional expectations in favor of what makes sense. It's such natural and confident writing, and it gives the impression of this cast being less of characters in a story with distinct and important roles, even if that is true, and more of believable, organic, and almost real people. And with that in mind, do people's stories ever truly end whilst they're still alive? There will always be another horizon, another potential plotline to explore, more promise, etc. There will always be interesting things to see, and an open-ended nature to so much of what we experience. But consistent with that organic approach, that is a huge part of what gives life spark. And combining that with the Detours theme, we were lucky enough to be given a drop into the lives of these characters and experience these detours with them. But life goes on. Yes, I'd love to see what happens with Chrollo after this, but even still, this is sure as hell a great way to creatively present that life is full of endpoints, and those endpoints just won't be fulfilled right away or even at all sometimes. And so we must take solace from and see the beauty in the journey. And I'm okay with that. I can take a deep breath and understand that there were many stories in this world before, and there will be many stories in the world after. We were just lucky enough to be able to see some of it as a detour in our own life. Episode 148 remains to this day to be such a therapeutic encapsulation of one of my favorite stories of all time. Not only does it look gorgeous and serve as a brilliant summation of all that came before, but it just grounds me when things get hectic and helps me to remember that there's no need to rush in life. Take your time, breathe, take in the possibilities, and savor the seemingly never-ending adventure of these little distractions. There is always another conflict or journey beyond the horizon, but focus on the now and don't miss the chance to appreciate the moment, because the experiences we have on the way to these are invaluable. Hunter x Hunter has never once been a story that is interested in trying to be what you expect it to be. It just wants to be what it is. And so as much as I do enjoy totally comprehensive endings to my stories when they're done well, what I love more than anything are contextually consistent, meaningful, and powerful conclusions that stick with you long after you experience them. That is what we get in spades with this, and regardless of whether or not the manga continues, I wouldn't change a thing about this adaptation's final episode. Many thanks for watching.
道草を楽しめ。大いにな。欲しいものより大切なものがきっとそっちに転がってる。